Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a simple login form. For this, I will be using Next.js, style components and TypeScripts. This tutorial will be separated into two videos. The first part of this video will show you the creation of the UI. The second part will go through the implementation of the functionality. This is the UI that we are going to create. At the end of this video, the user should be able to enter their email and the password and log in. Once logged in, the user should be moved to the next page. And the user should be able to log out by clicking the logout button. We will not be covering the sign up process in this video. At the end of this video series, you will be learning how to use the component state, the context API. We will be creating a custom React hook to handle the authentication of the app as well. Alright, we have a very empty project. I have removed all the boilerplate that comes with the Next.js as well. So we just have the hello world saying here in our index page, and I've renamed this home component to be login page to be more consistent or to give meaning to it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to create a layout component for our application, because as shown in the design, our application will have a page that sits in the middle and the rest of the area will be the layout, and that will be common for the login page and for the home page as well. So let's go ahead and create a new folder called the components. And inside that, I'm going to create a file called layout.tsx, and I'm gonna put all the code that I've written so far to that, and I will explain through what I have done as well. So the layout component is just a React.js component like this, and it receives the children of the component as well. To let the component know that I'm sending children, I have created the type for that as well, and I'm gonna import copy some styles that I've written for this as well. Right, so our component will be 100% width, and it will have the height of the window, and it's going to be flex displayed, and with justify and align items will be centered, and the background color will be this number. I'm not too sure what is the color, but it is kind of a grayish apple-ish color, and so that will bring all this content to the middle of the page. So let's go ahead and implement this in our index. Before that, we need to create another file called the index.ts, and we can export our layout component from here. That way, when we have multiple components, we just have to have one import statement. Very important to have this in mind, because when you are scaling your application, these things matter a lot. So let's implement this layout. So the content is in the middle and the background is kind of grayish as well. So based on the design, the next thing is we're gonna need a page component that sits in the middle, which has rounded corners and a shadow background, like box shadow as well. So since this is a common component that is both in login and the logged in version of the app, I decided to create a reusable component for that as well. Let's call it the page.tsx, and let's create this page as well. It's just a React component which accepts children and will display as well. We could write just a style component for this as well, but I keep it like this because if we want to add more functionality this way it's much better, just rather than using the style component itself. So let's go ahead and add this to the index file as well. Page, and we're gonna add it to the components list, and we're gonna implement here. And right, we have the page component as well with the specific width and the height as well, because it's going to be sitting in the middle. We have a specific width as well, and we have the specific padding as well. The next thing is our heading component. So let's create a component for that as well, because this also a common component both for the login and for the main pages. Let's call it the heading. Let's name it tsx, heading.tsx. Since there will not be much functionalities around here, let's just create a style component for this. We'll export this as it is. We don't need to complicate here a lot, and let's implement that as well. So this hello world will be wrapped with the heading, and it's too big, but our real wording is, what is that? Welcome. Right, there it is. And because of the height, and we have implemented the display flex and justify content and all this stuff, it sits in the middle. You actually don't need justify content and the flex and all this stuff, but anyway, you need the height because that actually helps the design to be consistent as well. And important to remove the margin as well in this component. Let's see what's next. Based on the design, the next thing is the logo component. Let's assume the logo will also be a reusable component. Yes, we will assume that logo is also a reusable component, and let's create a component for that as well, logo.tsx. And it's a very simple component. It's just a letter A inside a div as well, which has a bit of round corners. And let's add the styles. Very straightforward. Width and height, background color, border radius. Font weight is important. Font size gives that size of the font as well. Line height gives the specific height for the letters to be displayed. And as always, display flex center from both sides and the color. So this letter A will sit right in the middle of the given component, the given black color component. So let's export this as well. Right, and import it here. And let's put the logo here. Right. For some reason it's not working. Let's check. Right, we have not saved this file, so now it's saved. So we have the two components, but the alignment of this A is not correct. We can add styles to this component, but that is not very advisable because this component has to be very independent on its own. So where we are using it here in the login page, we could be using it in a different page as well. Because of this reason, we need to change the layout of the login page component. So to do that, we'll create a styles file for specific for the login page only. Let's name it login styles. Let's call it login page. Login page DS would be great. And here we're gonna put our styles that are specific for login page only. We're gonna import the style components, and we're gonna create a container to contain this logo inside it and keep it aligned in the middle. So the width will be 100%. That will go from here to here inside that padding, and the display will be flexed, and justify content center will make it the logo in the middle. And based on the design, we need some margin on the bottom of this logo to push the content below this bit downwards. So we have added margin of 79 pixels as well. Let's save this and import this here. Styles and login page. Great. So let's wrap this up with this. Nice. Right in the middle. So the next thing we have based on the design is the import the text inputs. So let's create a component for this text input as well. Right. For the text inputs, this is what we are looking at. TSXCS interface is right. Cool. So we're gonna need a placeholder. We're gonna need a function that will a callback that will receive the name and the value of the input text input field that is used, and the name of the text input and the value of the text input, because this is going to be a controlled component, and we are using a email password login, so we need to check if this is a password as well. Based on that, we can show some visual stuff as well. So let's import all the other styles that I have written for this. It's going to be having a minimum width of this based on the design. So if we are using this in another component, the width of this text component can grow as well. And we have a small border radius as well, and we have overflow hiding the overflow as well. And importantly, we are removing this outline, so when you click on the input field, it will not show that yellow kind of outline as well. Next, we'll put our component here. I'll go to the component as well. So we are importing all the props that we are defining here, and we have a on change handler as well. Let me talk about it later. So we have a container, a wrapper around the text field, and it has all the styles that we have written. And for the text input itself, we are giving it a type based on the type that is if it is a password or an email. And you have the placeholder and a name and a value as well. On change, we are passing this on change handler, which expects an event, a change event with HTML input elements in it. Because of this, we can get the value and the target name of this input, and we are sending this to the callback that we are receiving when we initiate this or using this input field. So let's go ahead and use this input field as well. Let's go here first, export this here in the export here in the index. and let's use it in the main page. Components, right. Again, we're gonna use text field here. So the things that we need is a value and a placeholder and a change handle event as well. For the value, we need to import the use effect. Let's import like this. So let's define a value for this. Const email set email equals use state, and it's gonna have a string value and empty value initially. So we're gonna use this as our value, and we're gonna use on change handler with the set email. So the set email, the callback will, the first thing that it gets is the value, and the second is the name of the component. Currently, since we have the set email specific for this email value, we don't need a name because our state values are just 2, so we have just 2 states defined for them. We'll define another state value for password as well here, so because of that we don't need that name. And another thing that we need is placeholder, yes, and that says email. Something else is missing. Name is missing. Let's name it email. Right, cool. So the text field is here and everything works perfect on this one. Yeah. So again, if we have to have 2 text fields, it will cram for the paddings and all this stuff. So we need to take care of the layout of the page. So we go ahead and add some styles to the layout. I have created this style component called input container, and let's put the text input email inside it. We need to import this as well. Right. So let's copy this up. Let's call it password, and this set password as well. So let's use it here. Value is the password, name is password, placeholder is also going to be password, and we're gonna use the set password for the yeah, I think I mistakenly did that. Right, cool. Let's change this again. Password, and it's gonna be password. Let's use this. Yeah. Cool. According to the design, it's there with the padding as well. So the next thing that is remaining is the button and the sign up link. So let's go ahead and create the button component. So creating the button component, I'm gonna show you some good things about the style components. So this button, I'm planning to use the button for a field component like in the login button, and I'm going to use the same button for the sign up link as well. So let's call it, let's have 2 types for this. One is the field type and the second type is the text type. Text type will be the sign up link, and the field is the login button itself. So let's go ahead and create the interface for this. Stuff here, and type of the button will be here, something like this. Right, cool. And we're gonna put our JavaScript here, and the button container, we're gonna create that like this. Right. Cool. And we need the style components, of course. Right. Cool. So based on the type, we're gonna implement few styles to the button. If it is a field component, it's gonna have a background color of this color, and the color is this, and font size and all this stuff as well. And we have min width also included in the field button, but in the text one we don't have the minimum width. It could be narrow as the content goes, and the background will be transparent. The color is different too. So we are passing the type as per the type of the button, which is this. And let's go ahead and export this here. Component, and let's go ahead and use it in the main component. Let's import it here. Right, button, and we are going to use the button here, and value should be sign in like this, yeah, like this. And it has a value on click and type. Type is fill on click. We're gonna have handle click. Let's define this function as well. Handle on click. For now, you're gonna do console.log and say you got clicked. Right. Oops. Coolio. But again, based on the design, this is not the way how the submit button should placed. So let's go ahead for our template kind of thing, or main CSS, or login CSS we call it. We'll put some width, display flex, and justify and line of content center. The main thing that we want is the margin. The top should be 48 pixels, 0 from the right, 65 pixels from the bottom, and 0 from the left as well. Let's implement this here. And let's put this button in the middle. Right. Cool. So the final thing is to implement the sign up link. Let's create a container for that as well. Sign up link won't be a very common thing, so I have put all the styles there. Sign up link area, yes, and let's import that as well from the styles. Let's put the wording here. Do you have an account? Cool. Right, things are looking good. So we're going to use our button component to create the sign up link as well. Right. Cool. So the UI is completed. So let's add some functionalities. First things first, we need a different function to handle submit and a different function to handle the sign up. Let's call it handle sign up, and let's move it. Yeah, cool. So that's it for this video in this tutorial. Let's meet in the next one and add some functionalities to this login form. Cheers.